So, good evening. We are back to the study of the Spirit's book. Last week, we started chapter 3, which is Return to the Spirit World from the Physical Life. We finished the first item, which is the soul after death, individuality, and eternal life. And today we're going to start on the item separation of the soul and the body. So, Philip, you do the honors.
Yes. Separation of the soul and the body. 154. Is the separation of the soul from the body painful? No. The body often suffers more during life than at death because the soul is usually unaware of what is occurring to the body at death. At the time of death, the spirit often enjoys what it is feeling because it recognizes that it is at the end of its exile. In natural death, which is the after effect of exhaustion of the body due to age, human beings depart this life without even realizing that they are doing so. Like the flame of a lamp that dwindles and eventually goes out when it lacks a source of power.
Okay, so when we talk about the death of the physical body, which is what separation of the soul and the body means here, for the first thing we have to make it clear is that there are no two deaths that are the same, right? So each individual have their personal death of the physical body and the personal experience. But one thing that the spirits tells us is that there is no pain in the separation itself. The separation doesn't cause any pain. We may have been in pain with the physical body because of several reasons, disease, an accident, or any other cause, but the separation, the moment of separation, it's not painful. It's it disconnects. The physical body disconnects from the spirit. The separation is done through the cords that connect. The last one to be disconnected is the silver cord. The process, as we mentioned before, could take up to 72 hours, but this is the process of the complete separation between the physical body and the spirit. It doesn't mean that the spirit experience this time. Most of the cases, and the vast majority of the cases, the spirit does not experience anything. The separation is done in a natural process, okay? So what Kardec and the spirits tells us here is that when they says the spirit often enjoys, meaning if it's the end of a cycle, so if the spirit understands the physical body as a prison in a sense, and the return to the spiritual life as a freedom from this prison, then the spirit can enjoy it. Also, if the spirit comes from a long disease, and the death can be a relief in the sense that it no longer will suffer the pains and the struggles of the physical body. So that's what's important here to understand into the separation. And we're going to talk a little bit more about other aspects of it. Okay, but questions, comments here? Okay. Okay, next one, Philip.
155. How does the separation of the soul from the body take place? As the bonds restraining the soul are broken, it separates from the body. Is this separation sudden? Is there a distinct line between life and death? No. It is not like a bird whose cage is suddenly opened, allowing it to escape at once. The soul gradually separates from the body. The two states are blurred together, and the spirit extracts itself little by little from its bonds, which are loosened but not broken. During life, a spirit is connected to the body by its semi-material envelope or perispirit. Death is the destruction of the body, but not of this envelope, which separates from the body when organic life ends. Observation has shown us that the separation of the perispirit from the body at death is gradual, rather than abrupt, and this speed may vary depending on different individuals. In some cases, it is so quick that the perispirit completely separates from the body within a few hours after passing, while in others, particularly for those whose life has been exceedingly material and sensual, this release is much slower and can take days, weeks, or even months. Wow. This does not imply the persistence of vitality in the body or any possibility of restoring life, but is simply the result of a hold between the body and the spirit proportionate to how consumed the spirit was with materiality during its human life. It is only rational to assume that if a spirit has closely identified with matter, it will be more difficult for it to separate from its material body. In contrast, intellectual and moral elevation of thought initiates this division even during the life of the body. Consequently, when death ultimately arrives, the separation is almost immediate. Studies of individuals after their death have shown that sometimes the connection that remains between the soul and the body is extremely painful, as the spirit is fully cognizant of all the horrors of decomposition. This is an exceptional case and unique to certain kinds of death and certain kinds of life and certain kinds of death. It can happen in the event of suicide.
Okay, so a lot of information here. Let's break it and separate what the spirits and Kardec are talking about. First, the separation, we mentioned this, the separation of the soul from the body. It takes place because the physical body can no longer sustain life for many different reasons. It was an accident, it's too old, or the heart stops working, the brain. There are many cases that can cause the separation of the perispirit from the physical body. But the spirit tells us it's not sudden, like a bird that you open a cage and is allowed to fly. The soul gradually separates from the body, meaning the cords, the links between the perispirit and the physical body are slowly removed. Again, most people are unconscious during the process. We are talking about the process here, not the understanding that the spirit is going through the process. We're talking about the physical, material aspects of the separation, okay? It's very important to separate this. The process of separation of the perispirit and the physical body can take up to 72 hours. Not necessarily 72 hours, up to. Let's say someone that has been very sick and it's in bed, and it's in a semi state of conscious. It goes back and forth into a coma, and it's very weak. These links are between both bodies are very weak, and it can be completely disconnected in a couple of hours because they were already disconnecting while the person was alive. Now, someone that is very strong, very healthy, but suddenly has let's say a heart attack, there is a lot of vitality still in the physical body. So the separation may take a little bit longer because the links are still strong between the physical body and the perispirit. But again, the person that is going through the experience doesn't experience anything, okay? Most of the cases, doesn't feel anything. You just feel the shock of the death, you go unconscious, and you wake on the other side after a certain period, okay? So let's talk here a little bit about what Kardec says here, because he gives a lot of information here, and it's different information. First, we are connected, perispirit and physical body are connected and connects to each other molecule by molecule in the moment of reincarnation, as explained in the book Genesis. And when it separates, again, we can say it separates molecule by molecule, but we talk about the chakras and the cords that connect both bodies, and that separation happens. And the separation is gradual rather than abrupt, and the speed may depend on different individuals. So some take hours, some take much longer. Now, one thing that Kardec says here, that the release is much slower and can take days, weeks, and even months. This is the mental connection between the spirit and their physical body, not the physical links or the material links, okay? Because everything is complete, the separation is complete up to 72 hours. But let's say you lived a very material life. You believe that there is nothing after the physical body dies. So you remain attached to that physical body mentally, because that's all you know. And that's why when he says here that it will even feel the horrors of decomposition that he says later. Because once the physical body and the perispirit or spiritual body complete the separation, the decomposition starts of the physical body. It goes back to nature and starts decomposing. But the spirit that may still be connected to the physical body for lack of understanding, lack of moral evolvement, or any other reason, may feel everything that is happening to the physical body because of the strong links. Kardec talks here in the case of a suicide, and we know that the suicide is the extreme case, right? Because someone that kills oneself expects it to be the end. And when he finds that it is not the end, he may very well think that he have failed in the suicide attempt and be still and stay connected to the physical body, because he doesn't understand that it had separated from the physical body. So what helps in the process of the separation from the physical body from the spiritual body? How we lived our lives, plus our moral and intellectual evolvement. So everything that we're studying here will definitely help us when our time comes, because when we feel that everything is very strange, if it caught us by surprise, we have the knowledge to reflect, to analyze, and to ponder, to ask ourselves, oops, maybe I died my physical body died. Someone that has no ability to understand or ask this question from themselves is going to struggle. Now, of course, why the moral advancement, evolvement is important? Because the more evolved you are morally, the less attached to your physical body you are, and the more you are open to receive assistance from the more evolved spirits. We are all assisted in our moment of discarnation. And you remember many of you remember we studied the book Workers of Eternal Life, right? That discusses 5 cases of discarnation. So the assistance that there is there. So the more we understand, accept, and worked to live a moral life, the easier the process will be. Even if we refuse to go, in a sense, we think that it's still not our time, we want to stay, we want to continue. It can last for very little time, but we know better. We know that when it comes, it's the end. There is no way back. So we are more prepared to move on and to open our eyes and ears to the other side, right? Like I used to say, I have my bucket list of the other side, right? Not my bucket list that I want to do before I die. I have my bucket list of what I want to do when I wake up on the other side. So all the learnings that are there that I'm curious to learn. So when you realize that you made the transition, if you are prepared in the sense of understanding and of accepting and resignation, the faster will be your transition, the disconnection, and the assistance from the spiritual. So everything that happens between the physical body and the spiritual body in this process of the death of the physical body, if we have the assistance of the spiritual benefactors, we are going to be unconscious. We are not going to feel anything. Okay? Questions? Okay.
Lost. I am lost, Joao.
You're lost? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry about that. What?
I'm lost. Okay, where do we get the 72 hours, first of all? It's not listed here.
No, it's not. It's an information we get from, if I'm not mistaken, Emmanuel or Andrea Luiz in one of their books.
Okay. It says here that the perispirit separates from the body within a few hours. Okay.
Yeah.
But in some others, it may take days, weeks, and even months.
That's but
here. And then on the other side, at the very end of that same paragraph, listen to this. This is what threw me off, Joao. Intellectual. If you're morally and intellectually elevated, even this separation, this division could take during the life of the body. You see what I'm calling? Yes. You see my confusion? Now, I asking myself, so some people are able to separate even if the body is alive?
Let us try to explain what Kardec wanted to say here, right?
Thank you. Because I'm confused, really.
Yeah. Again, according to information we received, if I'm not mistaken, by Emmanuel, it doesn't take longer than 72 hours. Period. When the body starts to decompose, there is no link of this perispirit and the physical body anymore. This is different from your mental attachment to your physical body. That's what the spirit still connected to the physical body, and that's why when we talk about cemeteries, mediums can see a lot of spirits hanging around their graves because they don't know where to go, and they're still looking to reattach or reconnect to their physical body that they can no longer do. So this is again, I said this before, and I'm going to repeat. The separation of the physical body and the perispirit is one thing. The detachment that we, the spirit, make from our physical body is another thing, is a different thing. Okay? So
okay, got it.
So
I
if
understand.
you are morally and evolved, let's say you are intellectually and morally elevated, okay, and you die at a young age, full of vitality, all right. You move on, you go back to the spiritual world, like in a dream state, like when we are sleeping, we go back to the spiritual world, while your physical body and perispirit are still in the process of disconnecting, that it may take a little bit longer, but you are not there anymore. Okay? That's spirits that have the knowledge and the moral evolvement, because they are already assisted and they are already moving on. In that book that is not translated, unfortunately, called I Came Back, Voltei, from Brother Jacob, that he was allowed to be semi-conscious through his whole process of discarnation, because he wanted to come back and write about it, tell us about it. He describes very well this process that he's taken, while they are still disconnecting his physical body from his perispirit, he's taken to the beach by protecting spirits and to help in his transition. So he's there in his perispirit, perispirit, in the beach, and at the same time there are still links between the perispirit and the physical body being disconnected, but he doesn't feel anything. Okay?
Yes.
I think I hope that makes it a little bit clear. And just nobody asked the question, so I'm going to ask myself the question, because people always do and nobody asks the question, what happens with cremation, right?
Mm.
Yes. So cremation, does Spiritism says anything about cremation? Yes. Wait for 72 hours, but after that the physical body doesn't mean anything. You can cremate it without any major issue. Why wait for 72 hours? Is it a problem to cremate before? It's not a problem if the spirit is already disconnected mentally and not feeling anything. It's just to make a peaceful transition, for the spirit really not to have any possible feelings of the cremation. Not that the spirit would feel anything, it wouldn't. It is protected, but it's recommended that you wait 72 hours to make the disconnection natural and not abrupt of the last cords that are still connecting. So cremation, that's fine. Our physical body is really, burning the physical body is like burning old clothes that you are going to throw away, and you can burn them. Are you going to feel pain with the burning of the clothes? No. Are you going to feel pain with the burning of the physical body? No, because you're already disconnected from it. You have no sensations connected to the physical body. So just to reinforce, because I know there are some still, even in Spiritism, that have a problem with cremation. And I guarantee you there is not a problem. And actually, it saves space.
I want to be cremated.
I intend to be cremated. I already told my son. So I have no desire to be buried somewhere. I think cremation is a cleaner solution. But again, it's personal. You don't need to. Spiritism doesn't say anything against or in favor of. It just tells what happens and how the process goes. Okay.
Yes.
Comments,
Thank you,
questions?
thank you. It's clearer, it's clearer. The
Okay.
spiritual link, okay, is definitely disrupted or not operational after 72 hours. Yet
Yes,
the mental attachment link can last weeks or months.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it.
Let's think of someone that that doesn't believe in life after death. It looks at itself and sees the spiritual body, thinks is the physical body. The mind is connected to the physical body, and struggles to separate because it needs to understand better, right?
Yeah.
Anything, Elmo?
No, I think you covered everything. We can maybe just for didactics separate three different things here. One being death. Death is the end of vitality of the physical body. Once that happens, then we start the process of discarnation. That's what you're talking about here, the separation of the soul, spirit, perispirit from the physical body. Right, so first the body has to die. Once the body dies, the process of discarnation starts. And that process that the separation of the spiritual body from the physical body may have already started at the time of death. Let's assume someone who is 110 years old, right? You die of a natural death. It's very likely that by 110 years old, some of those links are already loosened up and pretty much disconnected already. Let's assume someone who is dying of a chronic disease, a battle for 3, 4, 5 years with a terminal difficult chronic disease. It's very likely that some of the links had already broken up, but it will only be consummated once the death happens. Let's assume that 110 years old guy is 100% materialist, doesn't believe in anything. His separation may be a little bit more prolonged than another one who is also 110, but understand our spiritual nature, is ready to go, is willing to go, is say, yeah, 110 is enough, I'm ready to go anytime. His separation would be much, much easier because of the state of the mind of both of them. So that's kind of means it says, in contrast, intellectual and moral elevation of thoughts initiates this division even during the life of the body. Someone who is mentally prepared for the moment that they will arrive for everyone regardless, will have an easier transition than someone who is completely ignorant, and even more difficult for those that not only are ignorant, but are against it, rebellious to it.
Okay. Thanks, Elmo.
$156.
Yeah.
Can the definitive separation of the soul and the body take place before the complete termination of organic life? When experiencing extreme agony, the soul sometimes leaves the body so that all that remains is purely organic life. The person is no longer conscious of him or herself, despite the faint flicker of vitality remaining. The body is a machine that is regulated by the heart. As long as the heart pumps blood through its veins, it continues to live. A soul is not needed for this.
Okay, so this Elmo can talk better about the preserving of the physical body that he mentioned many times, meaning machines nowadays can pump, replace the heart, pump the heart, inflate the lungs. So the the test for the death of the physical body nowadays is brain activity. So when we no longer have brain activity, is considered to that the physical body has died. Correct, Elmo?
Yeah, I think this answer is some 150 years ahead of its time, right? And they gave us a good glimpse of the future of medicine there, because now we can keep the physical body. Oh, let's say you can keep a heart pumping, you can keep a lung inflating and deflating, and by doing that, you continue to perfuse every single tissue, everything organ on the body. That means you can provide oxygenation and can remove carbon dioxide for every tissue, and that is enough to keep a body sustaining a purely organic life for quite some time. That's done for transplants, right? So if, let's say, if I'm getting into a kind of accident, I have a huge brain injury that is incompatible to life. I already said, put in my driver's license, my wife knows that I'm an organ donor. There is no way to bring my body to function, so to say. But since I'm a organ donor, they will put me on that machine. They will keep my heart pumping. They will keep my lungs inflating and deflating, and that means that they'll keep the tissues of my body somewhat alive, so they can go and harvest whatever it's useful in my body. The liver, the iris, the kidneys, whatever it can be used, they can harvest. In order to do that, they have to preserve those organs. They have to preserve those tissues. But let's assume that I, Elmo, spirit, well detached from materialism, well detached from this physical existence. I'm quite comfortable with death. Do I have to stay attached to that physical body who is just having this artificial life, in parentheses here, for organ harvesting? No, I say I'm out of here. If there is anything that is still uniting me to it, I don't need to be present. They'll take care of it. I'm out. I'm gone.
Okay. I think that covers it. Again, the physical body can remain with purely organic life, as they said here, and the soul can leave the body in anticipation. Also, when we talk about, for instance, someone that has Alzheimer, right? In the latest stages of Alzheimer, we learn from Spiritism that the spirit may, if it's someone that is evolved morally, intellectually, and have an understanding of the spiritual life, the spirit may already have partially detached from the body, is already experiencing life back in the spiritual world, still connected to the physical body, because for some reason, there's always a reason, right? You have to stay, you continue to be alive, but the spirit may already be half there, half here, as they say, not really connected totally to the physical body. That's why I learned in Spiritism that when there is someone with Alzheimer, you have to be concerned about the companion, because the companion is the one that is going to suffer much more than the person that has Alzheimer. If the person is well taken care of their basic necessities, it's all they need. And the companions are the ones that are always, in general, are struggling and need our attention. That's according to what I learned from a spiritist doctor some many years ago. Okay. Next, Philip.
157. At the moment of death, does the soul sometimes experience a kind of bliss that gives it a glimpse of the world to which it is about to return to? The soul often feels the slackening of the restraints holding it to the body and struggles to fully break them. Partially freed from matter, it views the future laid out before it and enjoys the anticipation of the spirit state.
Wow, very good.
Yeah. So again, for those of us that understand the concept of eternal life, that accept the reality of the end of a physical life and the continuation of our life in the spiritual world, the death of the physical body may feel like someone is freeing us from restraints, right? Freeing us from this heavy clothes that we are carrying. And as we are able to have a glimpse of the spiritual world that is in front of us, we may feel this joy in anticipation of a new reality and a new experience, or the return to an old experience. That's what they are saying here. Now, of course, for those that are too attached to material life, for those that abused their brothers and sisters in some form, that are, they are going to feel guilty, carry some guilt in the return to the spiritual world, they are going to feel very differently. And we just studied liberation on Sunday. We are going to see, and we discussed a little bit about all those spirits that go to the lower zones and to the lower zones, spirits that are that have act on evil, doing evil things, or insisting in doing evil things. They are going to face a very different reality from the spirits that they are talking here on, that will have this enjoyment on the return to the spiritual world. Okay. Questions, comments? Oh, okay, next.
158. A caterpillar begins its existence by crawling on the ground and then spins itself into a cocoon into an apparent death, only to be reborn as a brilliant butterfly. Can we correlate our human life, death, and life after death to this transformation? Yes, on a very small scale. The image may be good, but it should not be accepted literally, which human beings are prone to do.
So Kardec tried to compare us to a caterpillar, right? When we are incarnated, we are a caterpillar. We're crawling on the ground. And then the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and when it frees from the cocoon, becomes a butterfly. So he's asking if that's what the comparison we can make. And the spirit said that, yes, but on a very small scale, because there is so much more going on in our process of death and life after death, and that this is limiting our knowledge and understanding of the process. But yeah, if you want to do a correlation about us being caterpillars and us back in the spiritual world as being butterflies because we are free, we can fly, and we know we can fly in the spiritual world if we know how to, right? Until we learn how to, it will take us some time, but theoretically we fly with the speed of thought. Then yes, it's a comparison, an interesting comparison. Okay, next.
159.
A better one.
How does the soul feel when it realizes that it is in the spirit world? That depends. People who have done wrong for the sake of doing wrong feel overwhelmed by the shame for their behavior. The soul of a righteous individual is at ease, as if a heavy weight has been lifted and does not dread even the most penetrating evaluation.
Okay. Generalization is always a problem here, right? Because if you interview 100 people right after they went back to the spiritual world and ask each one of them, how do you feel? You're going to get 100 different answers, because each one will feel different. And it feel different because you may, you have here people that have done wrong for the sake of doing wrong, feel overwhelmed by shame, but not all of them. Some of them will continue trying to do wrong in the spiritual world, right? Those are the ones that go to the places that we're going to study in the book Liberation, that are subject to a leader of the lower zones, and then they are in this spiritual concentrations of spirits that are still take pleasure in harming others, in persecuting others, in obsessions and things like that. But on the other hand, you have evolved spirits that are morally, intellectually evolved, that will go back to the spiritual world and will feel the change and will miss loved ones, will miss what they just left behind. It may take them, even with the moral and intellectual involvement, a little time to adjust. The understanding of the return to the spiritual world does not guarantee that we're going to miss. We are not going to miss what we just left behind. Our family, even some of our comfort that we had here. So that's why, each person is different. But one thing is clear: if you have a clean conscience, if you lived your life to the best of your abilities within your own possibilities, of course, we are not perfect. We are always going to have some regrets, and we'll carry some of our struggles back to the spiritual world. But the process won't take very long. Once we accept our fate, understand the process, and start working on our journey in the spiritual world, more and more we will disconnect from what we left behind, because there'll be so many new things that for us to learn and to enjoy, that one we left behind, it will be just a nice distant memory in a way. But again, those that feel shame, those that feel embarrassed by their behavior, they will find themselves struggling in places like those surrounding the transitory houses of assistance that we read in the books of André Luiz, right? Waiting to be rescued or not understanding exactly what's going on with them. So, you have very ample number of different scenarios for those that are going back to the spiritual world. We can talk in general. There are a group of spirits that go to colonies like Nosso Lar that will feel better than those that end up in the lower zones. But even for those that went Nosso Lar, if you remember the book, right? Were all those spirits there feeling the same? No, you have individuals there. Some of them were happier than others. Some of them were not completely adjust and wanted some changes. You have André Luiz, that family that André Luiz went, the one that the young girl that wanted to meet her fiancé and couldn't adapt herself to the spirit, to Nosso Lar, and ended up leaving Nosso Lar. They show her in the movie also. So, we may find ourselves in a place that we don't want to be suddenly. Not very likely, but possible. And then, it depends on how we we behave ourselves to continue or to move to another place. Again, we find ourselves where our mind takes us. Okay. Okay, next.
160. Are spirits immediately surrounded by people who they knew on earth and died before them? Yes, according to the degree of affection they had for them, and vice versa. They often come to them upon their return to the spirit world and help them shed material ties. Others whom they formerly knew but may have lost contact with on earth come to meet them as well. They see all who are wandering and visit those who are still incarnated.
Okay. So what about this process? Who's going to meet us there on the other side? Again, depends on our state and our mental vibrations, right? Going back to André Luiz, 8 years in the lower zones in the beginning of Nosso Lar. So who received him there? Nobody. He was alone there. But why he was alone there? Because he didn't open himself to be assisted. When he spoke with his mother and asked her, she said, I was there all the time. You couldn't see me. You couldn't connect to me. So our loved ones will always be there to help and assist us. If we are going to see them, depends on each one of us on how we are facing our discarnation process. In the book, again, I came back, Brother Jacob, that I mentioned before. In his discarnation process, his daughter that had died before him, had went back to the spiritual world before him, was there to help and assist him. She was his main companion throughout the initial process of discarnation until he went back to the spiritual world. So he was there to assist him. She was not there to help in the process of discarnation, because there is a team of spirits that do that, the material separation. It's not. She was there to give him mental, emotional support, right? Assistance. And we'll have our loved ones always available to us when we open ourselves to them. Again, depending also on their condition, right? If we are expecting to meet, let's think about, we are expecting to meet our loving grandfather there. Let's talk about André Luiz. If he expected to see his grandfather was there in the lower zones, struggling with gold that he thought he possessed. So of course, his grandfather couldn't be there to receive him. We are going to be received by loved ones that are in condition to help and assist us. We cannot pick and choose, because we don't know where each one will be, right? So, but again, we know our loved ones. We know who we can expect to be there. If we think rationally, right? Let's think about our parents. We know our mother, we know our father. We know how they were when they were alive. Can we expect them to be there when we go back to the spiritual world? It's an individual question that one has to ask oneself and be very honest, right? Because sometimes maybe our parents are in no conditions of receiving us there for reasons that we know why, right? Sometimes they are. And also, going back to grandfather of André Luiz, maybe our grandparents already reincarnated. So if they already reincarnated, they won't be able to be there to receive us. So when we think about our loved ones, we have to try not to personalize, try to open ourselves to whoever is there that care for us, to be there to receive us and to help and assist us. And that include those that were not here with us in this incarnation, because this is not our first life. It's not our 10th life. We have many lives. So there are loved ones that we don't remember, but they are loved ones. We will remember when we reconnect with them. Maybe we won't remember the details, but the affection will remember. So maybe they will be there. Our guardian angel will be there for sure to help and receive us. So assistance is always available. We opening ourselves to assistance is a different story. It's each one of us. Okay? Questions, comments here?
John, I have something.
Sure.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. A while back, I received from the spirit world, my mom, and she said that when one of our sisters passed away, she said not to worry, that she is there and she will help and all of us are here. We will take care of her. It was such a beautiful message, just what you're explaining now. Family members are there if, permitted to be, and if we deserve or whatever. But what you're saying is so beautiful that she had.
Yeah,
this
and when I was talking about it, I was actually thinking about your mother, because we can guarantee that she'll be there, right? When you make the transition.
And I still have the letter that Jusara gave me, and that is so beautiful. Yeah.
But I'm sure you can think of members of your family that you cannot guarantee that will be there, right?
No, of course not.
Yeah, because we know that, right? So
absolutely,
there are some that actually we are going to need to help when we get to the other side. We are going to, like André Luis did with his father, with his sisters, and with his grandfather, right?
Yes.
So his mother was there in a more elevated place than him, was there to help him. But his father was not, because his father was in the lower zone.
Yeah, he was.
So what we can do is, when we think about those people that we know won't be able to be there because of their own personal problems, we can always remember them in our prayers to help them, and to prepare also for us to be able to help them if needed, if we are capable of, right?
Yes,
and not expect something that we shouldn't be expecting those that are in no condition, because it makes them suffer also, right? If they know they receive the feelings and they know they are not able to help for their own personal reasons, it may cause them to suffer
more. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Just to repeat what João already said, because that's important. Our loved ones, family who are there in the spiritual world, loved ones that you do not recall from previous incarnation, they will be there, but they are not technicians in the process of discarnation. They are there to provide you emotional support, to remind you that no, this is continuation. We are here. We love you. Don't worry. You are not alone. There is a group of technicians that will take care of the process of discarnation, or separation of every single little tiny piece of the connection with the perispirit and the physical body, and finally with the silver cord. So no one will ever be alone, because there is at least those technicians taking care of that. But in general, all of us have a loved one. The worst person that you may think in your mind has someone who loves and cares for them and will be there for them as well. So it's almost, I think, extremely difficult for me to imagine someone not having a loved one at that time.
Our guardian angel loves us, right?
Right. Question is very important. They are there with us. Are we there with them? They are open to us. Can we open to them? That is the greatest difficulty that I think we face. It's from what comes from us, not what they have there for us.
Absolutely.
Yes, Carol.
I just want.
Sorry, Carol has a question, Paco. Just a sec.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, Paco. Yeah, so then there might be sort of the welcome wagon committee, groups that make sure that they find your relative or your friend or your loved one, because it almost sounds like it's just like easy, like everything is already set up. But there seems to be something of an organizational part that must take place. Am I wrong on that? It doesn't seem like it's just going to happen. To me, it would take some coordination.
Yeah, there is a team.
Yes.
Like there is a team on the reincarnation that takes care of the reincarnation process. There is a, let's call it a professional team, right?
Yeah,
That takes care of your discarnation. They are not related to you. They may not even know you, but they take care of the technical aspects of the discarnation process, not the emotional aspect or the relationship aspect. It's the technical aspect. You may not even see them and be aware that, but there is always a team of discarnated spirits that are going to take care of the technical aspect of it.
That makes sense. Thanks. Yeah, that was very curious to me. Thank you very much. Thanks, John.
Yeah, and if you go back to the book Workers of Life Eternal, you'll find there more information.
And if you think,
yeah, I was just going to say that we tend to think in terms of family and love and friends and acquaintances, but it's my experience. It's my experience that there are always sources of love out there, even in this material world.
Yeah.
Am I making sense? So we tend to rely on the loved ones that are, that would be great. But I also have to think of those ones that are just, like I call them angels in my life. I have a few angels in my life, sources of love, and they're not even related to me.
But it's our universal family, right? Sometimes the closest to us is not blood related, and that's the one who will be there.
My point is that let's not worry, because there will be sources of love out there. That's my point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe the one who is going to greet us there is not blood related, but it's our closest connection that we had here, or okay.
And when it comes to the part of the planning or something already set off, there are many unexpected deaths. We can say over here that everyone who is there right now, the committee is already there waiting for them because they know it's going to happen. No. If an accident happens and someone inadvertently shortens the reincarnation, the team will be called. There gotta be a telephone that you call. Wait, there is an unexpected discarnation over here. Can you send your team to help us? Now, loved ones, if you have a loved one, you are connected with those individuals, you will, because you are connected, you know that it had happens, right? I mean, we are connected by thought, we're connected by love, and being able to be there, you'll be there as well for that discarnation that wasn't, has to say, on the plan, because not everything is prearranged and planned. Otherwise, it would be little puppets. Otherwise, I could take any risk I want to take, because my death wasn't gonna happen when it has to happen. I could jump off the building anytime I want. I would not die if it's not my time to die.
Yeah, I think they're good comparisons. A hospital, right, Elmo? You are there, you go there every day, but you don't know who's going to come through the doors. But you have a team prepared to help whoever comes through the door. It's the same thing with with the spiritual team ready for assist in case of discarnation. And remember, 150,000 per day on discarnate per day on Earth. So 160,000. So you can imagine it's a lot of work being done every day.
A lot of experience there.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget this number, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're going to stop here. There are a couple of questions left in this item, but we'll cover them next week, because then we go back a little bit to this. And the next item is spirit confusion, which is also relates to the discarnation. So I'll stop sharing here,
Thank you.
and talk a little bit about what we have. The first and most important thing, right? We are reopening SGNY on Monday. SGNY will reopen with the fraternal assistance from 6 to 7 for anyone that needs to have a conversation, needs to talk. From 7 to 7:30, we'll have a small reading of a book, like the format we used to have, a reading of a book, a prayer, and the passes, and that's it. Okay. All workers will be are vaccinated and will be wearing masks, and we will require also, we ask people that go there to wear masks also, especially because of this new Delta variant. Okay, but you are more than welcome to come to it will be open only on Mondays for the time being. The online 7:30 meeting that we have on Mondays will continue. Aloysio will continue to do it because he wants to continue, and I see no reason why not. People that are used to join the online meeting on Mondays, the fraternal, the fraternal assistance meeting, we'll be reading the same book as we're reading on Mondays at the center. So we'll be united in terms of the book we're reading. We're doing Living Spring, okay? This Saturday, we have a very interesting lecture from Marco Magalhães from Canada, from the Toronto Spiritist Society. He's a doctor, and he's going to talk about the spiritual and physical pathogenesis of disease. So those that like the scientific aspects of spiritism and how disease works in the physical and spiritual bodies, I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. He's a very good speaker. So this Saturday at 11 a.m. This weekend we have the Spiritist family Spiritist retreat for the, I think, 17th year or 15th year, I don't know. So it's July 10 and 11. You can register still on our website. On their website, Saturday afternoon we'll be at the Central Park from 2 to 5. If you haven't registered but you want to stop by, we'll be there at the Diana Ross place, which is right in front of the Natural History Museum in Central Park. Okay, we'll be there from 2 to 5. And finally this Sunday, which is the second Sunday of the month, we'll be studying the Gospel according to Spiritism. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for the reopening? We're all good. Okay, Carol, can you do our final prayer?
Sure. Thank you, John. Thank you, Elmo. Infinite Spirit, great creator, supreme cause, first cause, we are grateful to be together this evening for the study of the Spirit's book. We are grateful to know that the separation of the soul and the body is a gradual process. However, it may take up to 72 hours for it to be completed. We have heard this being documented. We are grateful to know that there will always be assistance for us as we make our transition. We know that it may be a loved one, it may be a friend, it may be someone who may not know us directly, but is willing and able to help us. There is never a cause to fear. We know that there will be assistance as we reach out, as we ask for help. There is that goodness, there is that grace available. We know that it is not a problem regarding cremation. If you are in doubt, it may be wise to set it up for 72 hours to let anything that is perhaps lingering in those hours to pass, to create a completion for us. We are grateful for what we have learned this evening. We are grateful for what we have shared. We are grateful for our spiritual benefactors, the loved ones, the spiritual guides who are with us, the healers who are helping us. We are grateful for their courage, their wisdom, their assurance, helping us to move forward. We are never alone in this world or in the next world. As we go forward throughout the week, may we be continuing with our prayers, with our studies, and with our mindfulness. And we humbly ask for the love, light, and peace of Christ to be with us, to encourage us, to keep our hearts open and our minds centered. We are grateful for all the blessings that we have received, and we are really grateful that we will be able to start again with our fraternal assistance on Mondays. May we ask for prayers for that to go smoothly, to be protected and to be guided for all concerned. We humbly ask now to receive the love and light of Christ within us. May we humbly ask for this meeting to be closed and that we may go forward in safety and protection to our family, friends, loved ones, and coworkers, reminding ourselves that we are beacons of light, we are light workers, and we have much to offer. May we go forth now, so be it. Thank you.